We'll give it about 15 more seconds before we get started, as I see there's still more people that are joining at this moment. Okay, we will get started today. Welcome everyone to today's forum with some of our local officials. For those of you who do not know who I am, I'm Neil Zigerlicki, CEO of the La Crosse Area Chamber of Commerce. Today, we have City of Onalaska Mayor Kim Smith, City of La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds, Village of Holmen President Patrick Barlow, and La Crosse County Board Chair Monica Kruse. Thank you all for being here. Before we get started, I want to take this time to thank our advocacy and forum sponsors: Darylin Power Cooperative, Verve, a credit union, AT&T Services, Gunderson Health System, ISG, Gensler, Quick Trip, and Mayo Health System. If anyone has questions, on the bottom of the screen, please use the Q&A rather than the chat button. Use the Q&A if you do have a question, and we will go from there. But we do have pre-selected questions that our members sent in. So to get started, we'll go right ahead with the Q&A. What infrastructure projects does your particular area have going on that all of our members should be aware of? We will start with Onalaska, and Kim, go ahead and let us know what you have going on for infrastructure projects.
Sure, I'm Kim Smith, the Mayor of Onalaska, and I want to start by thanking the Chamber for inviting us here together to have these conversations. I hope that I definitely can share what's going on in our community, but I also hope that it's a chance for me to get some feedback from the business community and from the chamber and the other area leaders, so that we can all work together to the benefit of us all. As far as infrastructure projects in Onalaska right now, one that you may have noticed is on East Main Street near Cooley Golf Bowl and the Greens Cooley intersection. We are putting a traffic circle in there. It's a project that's been on our list of things to do for a very long time, and we're quite excited to have that coming to fruition finally. We went through a lot of conversations with the area businesses there to make sure that their needs were being met, and we are trying to continue to meet those needs during this difficult construction project. As I'm sure Patrick recently went through a big one up in Holmen. It's kind of disruptive, but we're hoping the long-term benefit will pay off. We originally were going to put lights there, and based on the feedback from everyone, the community and the business, the traffic circle seemed to be the preferred way to go. So that is in progress. We also have a large amount of dirt getting moved up on Sand Lake Road. If you've been up to the north of the city of Onalaska, headed out that way, we do have a large apartment complex being constructed there by Traditional Trades. It'll be multiple buildings. The main building will be a mirror image of the existing 55 and older apartments that are there now. There will also be two other buildings. One will be a townhome, and the other one will be another variation on multi-residential housing. So we're looking forward to that, and that is part of our tax increment district number 6. And so there is an opportunity for some commercial to be located there, but that is still developing. We do have currently open 2 tax increment districts in the city of Onalaska. The other one is the TID 5, and that's where the Great River residences are located. We've really done a lot of infrastructure improvement around our Great River landing and the Main Street Dash Park area, lifting that neighborhood, creating some gathering places, some parking places. And the Great River residences are at 100% occupancy right now, but they do have a commercial space there that has not been leased yet. So that is a good opportunity for someone. The development that I mentioned earlier out by Sand Lake Road is called The Fields, is the name of that. So those are our main infrastructure things going on right now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Kim. Next up, Pat and Village of Holmen.
Thank you very much. Thanks for letting me be part of this group today. We have a lot of infrastructure around water and sewer projects this year going on. We are purchasing lands and siting out for a new reservoir and major water pumping house on the north end of the village, close and along to Old Highway 93. We also are hoping, and we've had some delays due to COVID, but finalizing and getting our new wastewater treatment plant fully operational and moving forward. And that's an exciting time moving forward with that. We also have 3 parks, including a nice 10-acre park, again, along Old Highway 93 up there on the north end. But overall 20 acres of parklands that we're beginning to design and plot out to be a great resource for our residents and for the region. The 10-acre park, we're hoping to have at least a couple ball diamonds and a couple soccer fields and a park shelter and kind of a nice walking trail around the whole exterior of the facility. So a lot of good things happening up in the village.
Thanks, Pat. Next up, we'll have Mayor Mitch Reynolds.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for inviting us here today to talk about some obviously some very important issues for our communities and for our business community as well. I just say, I'm just going to skim the list because I don't want to take too long, but one of the most significant ones is one that just got underway not just a few weeks ago, the wastewater treatment plant build out on Isle of Plume. And it's significant. It's a huge upgrade. And not only will it create a path to the future to make sure that those things that are not permitted essentially by the DNR now that we're adaptable to in the future. So it's just significant upgrades there. Very excited about that. Where some lift stations we have funding for as well. So we'll begin the process for engineering on those. And then things that are much more visible, like the levee extension that we're working on for Riverside Park, which will be incredibly beneficial for the river boats that come here, but also for the transient docking that's going to go in there. We have some, speaking of levees, the flood levee upgrades that we're going to be beginning next year to help protect some of our floodplain areas. These are just huge, vast improvements and extensions, and you're going to see our ultimate goal obviously is to remove as many properties from the floodplain as possible. We're trying everything that we can to do that, so this is going to be significant for that. We have sometimes we forget that fire stations are significant infrastructure, but we have a couple of new fire stations that we're going to be breaking ground on in this year and next year, and some more improvements that way. So the first fire station we'll be working on is essentially by UWL near the corner of West Avenue and LaCrosse Street. So that will be our new fire station 2, and then our fire station 4 will be on the north side next to where the current fire station 4 is. Obviously street infrastructure projects, LaCrosse Street engineering and some other aspects of that beginning this year rather. South Avenue right-of-way acquisitions and all of that additional work happening along with a big roundabout that's going to go at South Avenue and West Avenue. So a lot going on there. Of course, we just had the groundbreaking for our River Point district. Was it just last week? So it's hard to overestimate how big of an impact that's going to have on our communities and all of our communities. You think about how vast that space is and how impactful the developments can be there. It's a pretty big deal. So all that clean fill going in this year, and then we'll hopefully ink some contracts for developers. So again, just a surface view there. Won't go into too many details, but that's.
I appreciate the
Sure.
brief overview, as there's a lot of number of things going on from infrastructure. Monica Kruse.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for having me here today. Good to see everybody and be able to participate in this forum. So at the county level, we've got a number of projects either just completed or else going on. A lot of our projects are highway department related. So summertime is construction season. So lots of county roads being worked on right now. We have a big project going on in Bangor downtown where the county was able to do a jurisdictional transfer with the town of Bangor. Their whole downtown is being pretty much reconstructed with some CDBG money that we were able to leverage through that jurisdictional transfer and a number of other maneuvers that we were able to do. So really excited about that. Our Goose Island update is completed and hearing lots of good things about that. Lots of people really enjoying that. Our highway department is building a new highway shop on St. Joseph's Ridge, which I think is just getting underway now. I haven't been up there, but I hear the ground is broken and I think they're getting going on that. And other than that, there is a dog park going in at Veterans Park. We're not actually building it, but we did, give the land for that. And I think some volunteer groups are actually putting up the fences and so forth. So those are the ones that come to mind for me right now.
Good. Well, thank you everyone for the updates on that and those infrastructure projects that are going on in the area. I imagine many of our members will reach out on any more details on specific ones. But changing topics here, many of our business members, and I'm sure this is not the first time any of you are hearing this, but workforce needs. Our business members are seeing major hurdles right now with a worker shortage. What actions are you seeing or are working on that might help ease this issue, maybe in the immediate future, but also in the long term? So to start, we'll start with Mitch.
Well, thanks, Neil. It's interesting. I was just having a conversation today about this very thing because we were talking about the utilization of ARPA money and how we could use that to somehow mitigate the workforce shortage that we're all experiencing. And it's incredibly challenging. There's so many challenges here. There's so many moving parts to it that it's really difficult to come up with like just a key solution other than things that are long term, right? So one of the challenges that we've heard about repeatedly are the need for additional childcare resources. And I think that there's no question that is one of the things that continues to limit the workforce resources that we have for our businesses. Is just a lack of available affordable childcare. And I know that some of our larger businesses are looking at solutions that are internal, Quick Trip and Gunderson Health among them. But I've started to have some conversations with others about the potential for people in our community, smaller businesses getting together and creating a kind of a co-op system where there's a shared responsibility and a shared cost model for childcare, all with the objective of trying to increase the availability, but also increase the pay for childcare workers, because a lot of the challenges, I think, in terms of availability is finding places because there's just not, because we're not valuing our childcare workers. Essentially, we're not paying them like we do value them. And so some of the models that, for instance, Quick Trip is following, and I won't speak for them, but it seems that their Gunderson is the same kind of way, is that they're looking at, we can provide childcare in our facility and then also create sustainable wages for those who are providing care for our children. So the city has a role in that. It's not easily defined, but I would like to, I'd like to work with our business community. And I invite anybody out there to come to me with your recommendations or suggestions for how we can better facilitate that, because I would like to be part of the solution for that. I mean, I think our community is going to do a lot better when we can come to some sort of solutions for some of the childcare shortages that we've had, or we are going to have clearly in the future. I mean, it's gotten to a critical point at this point, as far as, you know, the information that I've received. So again, still, I'm looking for help on this one, frankly. But I am eager to potentially use, I know we have some ARPA conversations coming up, but potentially use ARPA funding to secure affordable childcare for those who need it in our community. I mean, I think it's, you know, it's a reasonable utilization of those funds. So we might be able to do that. The other, and some of the, in terms of initiatives for worker shortage, more long-term stuff, Neil, and this is some of the things that just, for our community, housing is all important. We're just not there with the housing that we need, the housing needs that we need for adequate recruitment, for folks coming into our community to work at some of these, you know, the jobs that are available at City Brewery, as Kim can attest to, or, you know, or Quick Trip, any of these. We just don't have the housing that we need to do that. So, you know, facilitating you know, making sure that we can expedite the process for like a train plan 6 development that we're looking at, some other, you know, the Kmart site development, just looking at those types of housing opportunities, but and some others as well. Again, that's more of a long-term, nothing we can do immediately, but something that we're hoping will help us, because this is not the last of a labor shortage we're looking at. This is going to keep on going for a long period of time. Sorry, long-winded answer to a short question, but I'll leave it there. But just those are two key things. Again, I invite anybody who's listening to this to come to the city with solutions with how we can work with you to help secure some childcare.
Perfect. Thanks, Mitch. I'll move on to Pat with Holmen. Are you seeing anything that Holmen is particularly doing to help these needs, or how they might be addressing it?
Well, I think we find ourselves similar to the La Crosse, and where's the touch points? How can the village kind of assist with these issues? I think on the front end within the pandemic, we were really trying hard to get the messaging out about things such as PPP loans or those kinds of things through our Holmen Business Association and those kind of entities. You know, so I think, you know, I'm asking for perhaps the same help the mayor just did in terms of finding where would make sense. I know we rely on in terms of childcare, a mixture of both in-home, some facilities, the YMCA in terms of wraparound and programming. We have the new Boys and Girls Club, Holmen Area Community Center entity as well. It's not purely childcare per se, but wondering with these partners and that kind of mixture, what we can help and assist them to do with their needs. In terms of other kind of workforce issues, I mean the village noticed right away in terms of just the one area like our lifeguarding this year, and saw the need to, let's say, up the salaries of those lifeguards to actually get and employ people, and digging back into our lists. And so, you know, we're not adding a lot of staff to the village itself, but in certain sectors like that, we knew that their price points are rising in terms of salaries. So we're trying to do what we can with the positions that we control as the village to try and address those kinds of needs. You know, so that would be the best I can offer in terms of these questions.
All right, thank you, Pat. Monica, you're on mute.
As you know, I was on mute. Sorry about that. As you know, we're very much involved in economic development. We have an economic development fund that meets on a monthly basis to look at ways that we can market La Crosse County, and both in terms of promoting tourism as well as creating a robust workforce. And I think some of the issues that we deal with have already been touched on by Mitch and Patrick. Definitely workforce development is huge right now. There is definitely a worker shortage in many areas. And childcare is a really important aspect of that. We have had many discussions about how we can either subsidize it or somehow, bring in funds to make childcare more affordable, to make sure that more people, want to enter the workforce. Along with that, transportation is sometimes an issue, so we, need to look at that. Also, I think, hand in hand with local economy, just goes making the most out of our natural assets. I think we are a destination area as far as biking, hiking, and boating. So we need to take advantage of that in terms of recruiting workforce. We need to make this a very attractive area for young professionals and older professionals to come and decide to make this their home. We have some place-based initiatives going already, which I think we need to expand on, things like Lacrosse Promise, to make housing more affordable to people, so that and education more affordable, so people will choose lacrosse as a workforce destination. We have a lot of initiatives in terms of affordable housing for workers, and I think we need to continue to expand on that. And also, I think we need to really look at a robust system of support in terms of loans or grants or whatever to attract startup businesses to our area, with working from home and entrepreneurship from home being really on the rise as a result of COVID. I think this is a really good time for us to strike while the iron's hot and get in on that market of maybe I don't know, you keep hearing the Silicon Valley of Austin, Texas, or of Miami, Florida, or whatever. Why not the Silicon Valley of Western Wisconsin? Why not attract some of those industries to our area? I think we have all the sort of prerequisites for that, and I think we could market ourselves as that. So those are just some ideas.
Perfect. Thank you, Monica. Kim, Onalaska.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely agree with everything that all the others have said. And I would just kind of go on to reiterate that all of us, Monica, Patrick, Mitch, and I, and other area representatives, we're all working together because we realize that the economic success of each of us depends on each other. None of us are able to do this alone. None of us have the problem alone. So when it comes to the workforce shortages, we are at a critical point, not only regionally, but I would imagine across the US. And so what's very important for us to do is to make sure that we stay strong and that the businesses that we do have are thriving so that we can continue to attract good people to this area. And when they come, they need to be able to find housing. I can speak specifically for Onalaska. It's very difficult to buy a single family home in Onalaska. They're just snapped up and they seem to be somewhat overpriced. And we think that that's why we're having such success with the multifamily housing. Even with the 360 realtor, with the Great River residences that went in, the first apartment homes that were rented there were the 3-bedroom. The 3-bedroom units went first and the single bedroom and the studio went last. So there's really is a changing trend in the housing market that we are trying to meet, so that besides, in addition to having successful businesses, that we're able to continue to have places for those people to work where they can afford to live and have a job and find daycare and all the other things needed for a successful career here. And in addition to that, I think one other thing I would just like to echo is the competitive salaries. We don't have influence or control over what other businesses choose to do, but within the city of Onalaska, we have recently completed last year a compensation study, and we're trying to adjust our internal wages to be what the market is and what it takes to get qualified individuals. And we're hoping that that can happen across the board gradually, but these things take time. As Mayor Reynolds said, we can't do anything fast, and also we're limited because the businesses, have to kind of initiate it, and then we can try to help in most cases. So thank you.
That's fantastic to hear from all of you. And I know that I've spoken with, I believe, all of you, and you all are in awareness of the chamber and its members are putting forward a significant amount of money, and especially with the help of the county to get things started, a talent attraction campaign, which will go 2 to 3 years on really trying to brand La Crosse and attract talent to the area. So this is just another way that we invite this group to continue to work together and help support that initiative as well. Our businesses have spoken that this is a need and are investing, and this is a perfect opportunity for the group to continue to work together. But moving beyond workforce, we did touch on it a little bit, and this might be a little more targeted towards Monica, but others can chime in as well. But looking at the American Rescue's plan money, how do we foresee some of that dollars being utilized in the area?
Well, sometimes a gift can come along with a lot of obligations. And so we're finding that looking at the ARPA money, we want to be mindful and responsible in the way we allocate that. We want to make decisions that are legacy building and that reach far into the future, rather than just, filling potholes here and there and, giving the money away in little bits and pieces. We want this money to really make a long-term impact. So we have not made any, decisions as far as where it's going to go as of now, but we have been meeting and we have been discussing what are our values, what are our priorities in terms of where we want money to go. And so we had sort of what you call a retreat, or we call it an advance actually, and talked a little bit about that. And we came up with 4 main areas that we want to target when we make appropriations with that money. And some of those we've already touched on. So one of our top priorities was affordable housing. And all that goes along with that, targeting low-income people, targeting workforce attraction, so to provide housing so people will want to come to La Crosse County and work here, targeting senior housing even, keeping them in their homes in the first place. And if we can't, then, providing some affordable alternatives for seniors, creating neighborhood cohesiveness in affordable housing. So that was priority number 1. The second one was the local economy and promoting tourism, like we already talked about. And we're talking in terms of some niche industries like breweries and wineries and local economy, rural economy diversification. So looking at kind of more the broader spectrum rather than just like the traditional economic development things. To make sure that, we really reach out into all parts of the county. Then the childcare issue, always at top of the list for us in the last several years, since we've realized that, workforce shortages are a direct result of people not having places to put their children while they're working. And that's a deterrent, I think, for entering the workforce for many people. So we want to make sure that is an issue that stays front and center for us. And finally, the 4th priority that we identified was infrastructure focused on aging populations. And so we're looking at our county nursing home. We're looking at caretakers to take care of our aging population, and the acute shortage that we're seeing in CNAs and nurses and and people that dedicate themselves to taking care of the aging population, medical services, transportation, even entertainment. What kind of places do we have for aging population to be here? So those are some of the areas that were high on our list of priorities and where we'll be looking when we reach out to other government partners to start deciding, what kind of projects we can work on together to advance those goals.
Perfect. Any other commentary from any of our other panelists on the ARP money?
Up here in the village, we've just had some initial conversations around some of that infrastructure I talked about earlier. So things such as, maybe, related to kind of clean water and those kinds of issues. So that's, the extent of this so far.
And I guess I can say similar. We've had initial conversations, but we're not, we're just in the early stages of planning. And I think that we do have time, as Monica said, that we want to take our time and we want to do what's best for our community. And there are a lot, it is kind of, spending the money isn't just that easy. It's not like just this money fell out of the sky. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when making choices for how to use the money. So we're still mulling it over.
I just jump in there. Thanks.
I mean, one more time, and then Mitch, it's your turn. And Patrick mentioning clean water reminded me that all of these areas that we identified as priorities are suffused and and informed by sustainability. Absolutely, we want to include sustainability in every single one of those priorities. Clean water, environmental preservation. It goes without saying, but maybe not. Maybe it doesn't go without saying. I should have said it. So, okay, Mitch, your turn. Sorry.
Thanks, Monica. Yeah, I just want to echo what Kim said. We're in the beginning stages, and it's important that we recognize that there are limits to what we can utilize this funding for. It is not money that's falling out of the sky for sure. There's some reporting aspects to this that we have to really make sure that we stay within the lines. The lines are somewhat broadly sketched right now by interim final rule from Treasury. We're trying to figure out what we can do. Our primary goals are to stay within the intent of the legislation. That's to help people right now. So part of what we'll be doing is try to help people right now. We do have kind of a two-tier approach. This is my focus anyway, is to help the people that we should be helping right now. Those are on the edge. I mean, obviously in my community, we have a tremendous, in our city, we have large amounts of we have large segments of our population who live in poverty. So we need to reach out and help those people who have been on the edge perhaps for a year and are still, looking at the ends of the eviction moratorium and potentially just need some other individuals, businesses, and some of our nonprofits who've really struggled because of a lack of operational revenues, have struggled to do the type of programming that really help our communities in need. So we're going to be looking at all those things immediately, creating portals that where people can engage with the city to help us understand their needs, but also like Kim was saying, look out on the horizon a little bit, take it slow and imagine what we can do. And Monica's saying something along this as well. What can we do longer term with infrastructure, specifically water infrastructure and other broadband as well? But again, just staying within the intent of the legislation and really making sure that this is all about recovery.
Okay, thank you all for the commentary on the ARP money. Moving on to a question that actually came in today. The La Crosse Tribune had a recent editorial that promoted collaboration on public safety, especially fire protection and public transit. What is the current status of these proposals, negotiations, and collaborations? We can start with Mitch.
Thanks. I don't know how deeply I want to go into where our negotiations are right now, but suffice it to say that definitely my team is working with Patrick in the Holmen Area Fire District. I think that's pretty open. Again, I'm not going to elaborate on the negotiations, but that's something that we're working on. There's a possible, I don't know what that's going to look like in the future for other communities. It's hard to tell at this point. And then we're continuing our conversations in relation to in sewage agreements, but we have our transit union director manager is working on ways that we can expand transit and make that more cooperative as well. But again, I think we're looking at all those areas. We've definitely had I've had conversations with everyone here about all of that. So it's a work in progress.
Good. Any other commentary on? Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I would just say a lot of good faith communication, see what would make sense moving forward. And we're just very happy and thankful that, the communication has been so open and, and moving forward to make the best use of some of, the thoughts, the ideas that we gained from that regional fire EMS study from the Wisconsin Policy Forum, which we thank the county and the local area planning committee for helping to fund that. And to move forward, because I think all leaders at every level in this region want to provide the best quality of service, to be effective and efficient with the resources that the public gives us, and to really be open to what some of these newer ideas may be. So I'm just appreciative of what is kind of going forward.
Monica?
Yeah, and I wanted to chime in. Patrick already touched on that. As you may know, the county, along with the university and some other entities, did fund a study of combining or at least coordinating fire and EMS services in the county and even beyond. I think it also would include La Crescent. But anyway, they came up with some great ideas, different levels of collaboration and coordination of services. Rob Hinken, a consultant with the Wisconsin Policy Forum, came in, did a few workshops with us, and really laid out some ways that we could do some very easy to achieve collaborations, like group purchasing and things like that, all the way up to combining departments and having like a regional fire department with a regional fire chief rather than the different ones that we have now. So there are lots and lots of choices as far as what we could decide to collaborate on in the future if it were advantageous to the different entities in the county. And I think now the task is to get people of good faith together to talk about that and to find out how we can make greater collaboration work and in order to save money for everybody and create greater efficiencies across the county. So I'm hoping that that's an ongoing conversation and that people come to it with an open mind.
Thanks, Monica. Kim?
Yeah, thank you. We're definitely I think we've all been doing a good job of talking to each other. We don't agree on all the points, and we all have an obligation to our taxpayers from our entity. In the case of Monica, her taxpayers are the entire county, whereas Patrick, Mitch, and I have a smaller pool of taxpayers that we're trying to look out for. But the point of all of this is that there are ways that we can increase efficiencies and save money, not only for the communities that we represent, but for the region. And I do think that we have leaders on board right now that are able to come together in conversation and get past the things that maybe we don't 100% agree on and make decisions that are best for both our community and our region. And I think we're in the process of doing that in three main areas. We have the fire services that we've been talking about. We have the wastewater treatment areas that we're talking about, and we have the regional transit areas. So these discussions are all ongoing, and I'm in anticipation of us continuing, over the next period of time, be it months or years, finding more ways that we can collaborate to the benefit of everybody in the region.
Perfect. Thank you. Similar in theme with the collaboration and working together. I know the county right now is working on a comprehensive plan. So Monica, do you want to take some time to touch on that? And then maybe talk about how you foresee the other areas getting involved, whether it be chamber organizations or the city and village governments as well.
Sure. Yeah, so we are sort of knee deep in the comprehensive plan right now. We began that work about 4 months ago. We're required by law to update our comprehensive plan every 10 years. We were a little bit behind this time around, but we are really making some good progress right now, looking at lots and lots of different factors. I think people, when they hear comprehensive plan, they think in terms of land use, but I mean, there are so many other things that impact a comprehensive plan, including transportation, including childcare, including economic development, including lots and lots of different aspects of county life. And so we drew a very diverse group of people to be on this comprehensive plan committee so that all interests are hopefully fairly represented. We are making a great effort, actually an unprecedented effort, to reach out to community stakeholders, to people in the community through surveys, through hearings, through being able to use a website to register your views. So we really are trying very hard to get the community involved in the planning. We have been meeting out in some of the rural areas to bring the comprehensive planning to the communities rather than having it happening right, just right here in our building. We plan to do lots of on-site kind of listening at gatherings across the county. Our next, our meeting in July is going to be in the town of Greenfield. So we are going to be trying to move it around and get input from the people where they live. And need to say it again, sustainability is the top value that is going to be informing all our planning and decision making. We want this to be a beautiful, livable area for many, many decades and centuries to come. And so our planning will be directed towards keeping it beautiful and keeping it workable and keeping it healthy for everyone.
Right. Well, as we're getting towards the back end of our program here, I just want to take a little bit of time and allow each one of you to give us another update or anything that we didn't quite cover yet today, that initiatives that you're working on. Each of you have about 3 or 4 minutes to speak on anything else that we haven't covered that you'd love that our business members to know about or maybe get in contact with you about. So let's start with Kim. What are some things that we haven't covered that you'd either like our input or would like our members to know?
Right. Well, definitely open to any input. That is for sure. Feel free to reach out. One of the things that I had made a note I wanted to mention is that we did recently update our codes, our building codes and ordinances, so that and our zoning to make it more streamlined and easier for businesses to come to Onalaska. Because one of the issues that we noted, well, a lot of things were antiquated and duplicated or not clear. And so we went through the entire zoning ordinance and clarified it and streamlined it to make it easier when people want to try to come to our community with their business, that they can get through the process easier to try to identify a property, what potential uses could happen there, and then what permitting process they would have to go through in order to make that happen in reality. So that isn't as exciting of a comment as maybe some of the growth and development, but I do think it's something that really does help businesses when they're trying to come to Onalaska. So that was one of the things. We know, we know that it can be really complicated. In Onalaska, we don't have a lot of undeveloped land. So when people businesses in particular are coming to Onalaska, it will be more likely that they are reimagining a vacant property or perhaps doing some sort of economic redevelopment. We don't have the vast, space as Patrick has. But we are trying to be very good stewards of what we do have and make sure that it's business friendly. Another thing is, I was just going to mention that the retail community by the interstate continues to be very vibrant. Lots of activity going on there. Lots of businesses that continue to attract new businesses. And with all of the large apartment and condo type housing coming to the area, that's concentrating populations and also giving more opportunities for businesses, perhaps in services, home services or food services, to locate near where those popular concentrations are. So definitely a lot is going well right now in Onalaska and in the region. And we are definitely open to hearing any suggestions if there's something we can do to help the business community. Together, we can all thrive. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Mitch.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, I just want to bring up one thing. I mean, well, a couple things. First of all, I do want to reemphasize that I would like to hear from those who are listening today, who are taking part of this meeting. If you would like to reach out at any time to talk about some of the, mentioned childcare, all about hearing what your needs are so that we can find out what our role can be in that. I know it's not typically something that city government has been involved in, but I would love to be a part of that. I think it's important for our city and our region to make sure that we have adequate childcare resources. So I will reemphasize that invitation for everyone who is online with us today to make sure to reach out to our planning department or my office if you would like to have a conversation about any of that. One of the things that I'm working on right now, and I'm not working. We're a lot of folks like Monica and folks at the county are working on making sure that we're addressing the issues of homelessness here, specifically, mostly in the city of La Crosse. I mean, it's an issue everywhere, but mostly for our county, within the city of La Crosse. And we're very close now to getting a homeless coordinator in our planning staff. That position it will be, I think, instrumental for making sure that we're all rowing the boat in the same direction. That homeless coordinator will also be dealing with some acting as a renter's resource representative of sorts, but someone who can deal with some rental issues. As many of you know, we're well over 50% renters within the city of La Crosse. So couple things, or one thing specifically, again, like I said before, if you have feedback on childcare specific or needs that are specific to your business or industry, I'd love to hear about them, but also in relation to homelessness. I'm always looking for constructive ideas and methods and ways that we can not only help our community better, but certainly address the needs of the people who are unsheltered in our community. So my invitation to anybody who is still online today to please reach out in relation to that as well. And I mean, there's a bunch of other things too. So feel free to reach out anytime about anything. I'm here for you. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Mitch. Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there have definitely been challenges this year, but in terms of moving forward, in terms of the village's perspective, we do have some more of those open spaces and places for growth, industrial and commercial. We're seeing, strong population growth. We expect to see close to or over 11,000 in terms of a population whenever we can get those numbers from the census. Housing starts and pacings it was close to over 200 last year, and we're on pace for that similar amount this year, even with the high construction costs for materials. And I think we're just really trying to partner as best we can with all interested parties, business entities, bringing services and bringing other kinds of projects to the village and the area of the village. So in fact, we're also looking at, and based on the needs of certain developers and the limits of certain developable lots, going back a little bit to our zoning codes and residential codes, to allow for or plan for, return to maybe more of that core of the old Holmen Village, the size of houses, the little bit smaller footprint for houses, and trying to be supportive of those projects as well, which might reach a lower price point for individuals as well. And so, we're trying to build long-term relationships as well, let's say with the discussions with the DOT about the Highway 35 corridor to the south of the village and the Highway 53 corridor to the north of the village, looking at what infrastructure and this where the state can assist in making things, have smart growth and appropriate growth. So there's a lot going on to that. And in addition, trying to keep the things that really keep a community pulled together. So the community events, the parks and recs, the concerts in the park recently resumed in the Bellevue Park that's behind me here, Halfway Creek Park, to make sure there's a quality of life in living and that those are accessible to all members of the community. And so there's definitely a lot going on, and there's good possibilities, and working together with our partners in the two cities and in the county, I think we can achieve a lot collectively. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Monica?
All right. I like that last topic that Patrick touched on, and that is the quality of life. And I think we're all about that. I think, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is to preserve the quality of life here in La Crosse County. And as I look across the list of things that we are working on right now, and I feel like we're really busy right now, I don't know why, but they're all quality of life issues. And so, we are working on the PFAS issue, mitigating, groundwater contamination across the county, not just PFAS, but also nitrates and some of the bio hazard pollution that we're dealing with in some parts of the county. And that's a quality of life issue, and it's something that's difficult. It's expensive. It takes a lot of collaboration at lots of different levels. We can't do it on our own, and neither can any of the other entities. Something we need to work on, and draw in some help from other levels. It's just too big for any one of us to do on our own. We're also working very sort of focused on development right now, and creating synergy between all the different groups in the community that have been really working hard during COVID to keep everybody afloat and to keep everybody viable. And I think we've come to create a more of a united approach than maybe we did in the past. We're all kind of doing our own thing, and I think now we're more focused on finding synergy and maximizing our dollars and maximizing what we can do to really pump up the economy beyond just keeping everybody afloat, but really like making it bloom and making it flourish. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that that spirit of togetherness continues. Also, of course, working on the ARPA monies, and that's a task all by itself. And the homelessness has been brought up by Mitch and by others. And what we're looking at is, more than just stopgap efforts, more than just putting people in hotels when things get really dire. We want to find long-term solutions that, help people find a place that works for them for living, that's affordable, that improves their quality of life, and that then takes care of it, rather than this ongoing problem of having to find housing for people and then having them rotate back out. We also passed a resolution recently for racial equity, and that issue, I think, infuses all the other issues in our community: poverty, childcare, homelessness, all those issues that we deal with perennially. I think can in large part be connected to the racial inequalities that exist in our community. So we have created a committee, and we are very, very focused on dealing with that problem. First, institutionally within our own staff and county family, but then really, going out into the community and addressing those issues together with our community partners, as collaboratively as we can to improve that state of affairs in our county. And finally, I just want to make a real quick pitch for the WCA, which is coming to La Crosse in September. The Wisconsin Counties Association will be holding its convention at the La Crosse Center. So there should be an influx of lots of people spending money at lots of different La Crosse businesses. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that one. So.
All right. Well, we are getting close to time. So thank you, all of you, for being here today. I personally am seeing and hearing a little bit of a renewed energy of collaboration and working together from this group, which is fantastic to see, as the chamber represents many businesses in La Crosse County and even across the river in La Crosse. And so this is very, very good to see. So for those who are participating and on, thank you again for attending. Thank you to our forum and advocacy sponsors. Again, thank you, Monica, Patrick, Mitch, Kim, and just a special announcement here. We will have a special forum at the end of June, on June 29th, where we will have UW Systems President, Governor Tommy Thompson on via Zoom. Please keep an eye out for more information on that invitation. But again, thank you all for attending, and thank you to our panelists for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.